What's up, YouTube? This your boy, bigboyfactsjonnytv, and tonight I'm gonna give you guys my AEW Dynamite review on highlights. So you guys are new to the channel, hit that like button. It helps YouTube algorithm. Also subscribe to my channel so you guys every time I premiere a brand new video go live. Follow my social media, my Twitter, my Instagram, and TikTok and Twitch down below in the description. And let's talk about AEW Dynamite. Now, AEW Dynamite was a fun show tonight. It was fun. I enjoyed AEW Dynamite tonight. This week's show kicks off with the signature opener that kicks off the program each and every Wednesday on TNT. And then we shoot live inside the cable arena and Independence, Missouri as power and fireworks explode and the commentary team welcomes us to the show. So we get Kenny Omega versus Allen Angels. This was pretty good. Jim Ross then mentions we're kicking things off in a huge way. That on that note, we hear the familiar sound of the entrant theme music of Kenny Omega. The AEW World Champion makes his way out and heads down to the ring for our opening match of the evening. The cleaner settles into the ring for our first bout of the show. Already in the ring is his opponent for tonight, Allen Angels. We hear the bell sound, and this one is off the running as we see Allen Angels spear across the ring and blast Kenny Omega in the grill with a double foot drop kick to get off to a strong offensive start. From there, however, Kenny Omega immediately takes over and starts dominating the offense, bullying Allen Angels and controlling the action as the fans break out some chants. The commentators start talking about other actions on tape for tonight's show as Kenny Omega continues to dominate the action, and they mention there will be announcement soon regarding to John Moxley's replacement against Orange Cassidy in tonight's AEW title eliminator tournament match. Allen Angels fires up on offense again, and he connects with a big hot spot on the champ. He goes for the cover, but Kenny Omega kicks out after the count of two from referee Rick Knox. The commentators stress how close the AEW World Champion just came to losing. Now we see Allen Angels shift the offense momentum into his favor as he continues to follow up on the elite leader with fast-paced, intense offense. He knocks the champ out to the floor and hits the ropes for a diving toe suicide that connects. Kenny Omega fights back into the competitive form, but then Allen Angels takes over again for another spurt of offense that sees him score another close near fall after connecting with a moonsault from the top rope to the floor on Omega. He brought him back in the ring, but connecting with another top rope hot spot for the close 2 count. Angel Allen continues to hold his own as Kenny Omega starts to take over once again. He begins dominating the offense, but he can't seem to put Allen Angels away regardless of which moves he hits him with. He starts to lock the discouraged in his ability to finish off his unranked opponent. We see Kenny Omega go for the one-winged angel, however Allen Angels escapes before he can hit it. Omega then blasts him with a V trigger for another close near fall. Allen Angels continue to impress the commentators as they keep singing his praise for hanging in the fight with the champ. Kenny Omega hits a couple V triggers in a row and finally scores the pinfall to pick up the victory. The winner of the match, Kenny Omega. This was a pretty good match. After the match, Kenny Omega attacks Allen Angels. Hangman Page makes the save. Once the match wraps up, Kenny Omega calls for a microphone as Allen Angels remains laid out. Kenny Omega cuts a promo on him and talks about how he is in a position to give in and also taken away. He then tells Brandon Cutler to give him a chair. Brandon Cutler slides a chair into the ring, and then Kenny Omega hosts Alan Angels up for a 1-week Angel on the chair. However, he drops him as he hears the familiar sound of Hangman Adam Page's theme. His and out he comes. The chance of Cowboy uniform from the fans in Independence, Missouri. Page makes his way to the ring, and Page makes his way to the ring, and as he does, Alan Angels pops back up to distract Kenny Omega. As he does, Page springboards over the top rope and looks to connect with his buckshot lariat. However, Kenny Omega avoids it and exits the ring. Kenny Omega starts to head to the back, but stops when he realizes he doesn't have his title with him. Page grabs the AEW champion. It says Page grabs the AEW champion and gets on the mic. He tells Kenny Omega he forgot something. He warns him to come get it, then reminds him that he's only got a little bit of time left to enjoy the title being his property before he beats him for it at AEW Full Gear in 2021. Alright, next we move on. Malachi Black with a special message. The commentators run down matches and actions still to come here tonight on AEW Dynamite. They then mentioned that up next we will hear from CM Punk, but first a word from Malachi Black. Malachi Black talks to the camera about being banned from ringside for the Cody Rhodes versus Andrade El Idolo match by AEW President Tony Khan. He talks about that being okay, and then talks about Julius Caesar and Marcus betraying him. We then head to a commercial break as Jim Ross once again plugged the CM Punk segment coming up when we return. So we get CM Punk has kind words for Jon Moxley challenge Eddie Kingston. As we settle back in from the break, we hear the familiar sound of cult of personality as CM Punk makes his way out to head down to the ring for our next segment of the show. CM Punk says he settles into the ring without doing his trademark stage dive into the crowd. His music dies down and the fan starts chanting his name. Punk says that not the name he wanted to hear from the fans. He says two people aren't here tonight, and one of them has a very legitimate reason. He goes on to mention Jon Moxley not being here and brings up him seeking help for his problems, giving him kudos for doing it, and telling everyone watching that if they ever need help to do the same. He get emotional as he talks about Mox and brings up his own past issues that he says he wishes he would have also taken time away from wrestling for. Now he brings up the other man who is not here tonight, Eddie Kingston. Punk says that he isn't pleased with Eddie Kingston interrupting him last week. He says he doesn't like to get interrupted. He challenged him to a match on AEW Rampage this Friday night. He says he wanted to take Jon Moxley's spot against Orange Cassidy in the AEW title eliminator tournament, but will fight Eddie Kingston this Friday instead. Miro will replace Jon Moxley in the AEW title eliminator tournament. We shoot to a message from the former TNT champion Miro. He once again addressed his God and his hot wife before stating that his road is clear and it will be paved with the skull of the man he crushed and vows to be champion, as he will serve as the replacement for Jon Moxley in the semi-final match in the ongoing AEW title eliminator tournament later tonight against Orange Cassidy. He says he will be loved and then he will forgive his God. After this wraps up, we head to another commercial break. So we get Jurassic Express and Christian Cage beats down the Super Elite. Alright, we're back from the break and we see the Super Clique standing by for a backstage interview segment. They talk and then are approaching by the returning Christian Cage as well as Luchasaurus. The Young Bucks and Adam Cole then the Young Bucks and Adam Cole then act like they are going to walk away, only to try to turn around and hit a cheap shot on the aforementioned duel. Instead, a giant brawl breaks out between both sides, which spills out into the arena. Once the brawl hits the arena in front of the crowd, a ton of hot spots to take place, as we see a huge spear off the entrance ramp, as well as Jungle Boy run out on locking Adam Cole in his snare trap submission finisher. Christian Cage and Jurassic Express ends up standing tall to end the segment. So we get the AAA Tag Team Championship, FTR versus Samurai Del Sol and Aerostar. Solid match. We shoot back inside the arena after a Ventures airs to promo Ruby Soho upcoming match in the TBS Women's Championship tournament, as it's time for the FTR Open Challenge match. As noted, the match team of Astro Stars and Samurai Del Sol have been announced as the opponent for the match. We will feature Cash Wheeler and Dax Hardwood, putting the AAA Tag Team Champions on the line. The team of FTR makes their way out and head down to the ring to a similar theme music to the old Midnight Express Tag Team. They settle in the ring where Aerostar and Samurai Del Sol are already waiting for them. Now the bell sounds, and this one gets off and running early on. We see Harwood and Wheeler dominating the action and relative, but then some double team offense from Aerostar and Samurai end up seeing the match duel shift the offense momentum in their favor. The match hits to the floor where both Aerostar and Samurai hit some nice hot spots. FTR ends up shifting the offense momentum back in their favor as the match resumes inside the ring, and we head to a mid-match picture-in-picture commercial break as the action continues in this AAA Tag Team Title Open Challenge match. We're back from the break, and moments after we return, we see Aerostar hit a big spot and shift the momentum back into his team's favor. Samurai hits the ring and helps out with some double team spots, and then we see near fall that FTR kicks out of to keep this match alive. All four guys are in the ring. We see Samurai take one member of FTR down for a pin attempt, and then we see Aerostar hit a crazy hot spot off the top rope into a pin attempt on the other member of FTR. FTR ends up kicking out. However, the match duel remain in the offense lead, which JR makes a big deal out of on commentary. Dax looks for a brainbuster on Samurai Del Sol. However, Del Sol avoids it and ends up hitting a big move of his own that Dax Harwood Ashtar hits the ring to help, but things don't work out well for them. As FTR takes back over control of the action, Harwood hits a brainbuster on the floor, while Wheeler reverses a pin attempt from Aerostar and gets the pin for victory themselves. The winner is still AAA Tag Team Champions FTR. Alright, this was a solid tag team match. Now Rose confronts Hikaru Shida about TBS Women's Title Tournament. Alright, Tony Schiavone introduced footage from last week's where he presents Hikaru Shida with a trophy for becoming the first woman to 50 victories in AEW for her win over Serena Deeb in the ongoing TBS Women's Championship Tournament. As Shida accepts the reward, walks Nia Rose and Vicky Guerrero. Nia Rose mocks Shida for accomplishing such a big feat before saying she might have won her first round match in the TBS Women's Title tournament, but she meets her in the next round and things aren't going to go her way. She and Vicky walk off as we head to another commercial break. Alright, so we get the Inner Circle versus American Top Team contract signing for AEW Full Gear. Alright, we head back inside the cable arena, and when we return from the commercial break, we hear the familiar sound of Chris Jericho's theme playing as the Inner Circle makes their way down to the ring. The group settles into the ring, and Jericho begins talking about how it's time to pick their opponents from American Top Team and the Man of the Year for their match at AEW at the upcoming AEW Full Gear 2001 pay-per-view. After he praised Sammy Guevara for winning one last week, he shows in giving them the rights to pick who they should face from he is cut off by Dan Lambert and the guys from ATT and the Man of the Year. Lambert cuts Jericho off and talks trash for a while about AEW, the fans in the Inner Circle. He then praised the guys and his ATT crew. Jericho then begins picking who their opponent will be. The first man they pick is Junior Dos Santos from American Top Team. Then they take some shots at some of the MMA guys for their recent loss. They then pick Andrei Avalsky for their match. Dan Lambert speaks up and says before they pick their third opponent, he wants to make it clear that Paige Van Zandt's husband, Austin Vanderford, was in the match after the trash talk about Paige on last week's show. Paige then speaks up for herself and says she doesn't need Austin to fight her battles for her. She says they better write her name down on the list as the next opponent because she can beat all 5 of the Inner Circle guys by herself. The Inner Circle and Paige Van Zandt go back and forth for a bit, and then Jericho announced that he is choosing the guy who was the number one and member of the first member of ATT. Dan Lambert freaks out and snaps as the crowd laughs and cheers, and Jericho rubs it in. It looks like it will be Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Junior Dos Santos, Andrei Arnbolsky, and Dan Lambert taking on Jericho, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, Santana and Ortiz at the upcoming AEW Full Gear 2021 pay-per-view. Jericho says he'll see them there, and his music plays to wrap up the segment. That was a good segment. Matt Sydal and Lee Martelli challenged Dante Martin and Leo Rush. Alright, we now shoot backstage where Tony Schiavone is standing with Dante Martin and Leo Rush as well as Matt Sydal and Lee Martelli. Sydal gives Dante Martin props for their recent match on AEW Rampage and then brings up Leo Rush. TBS Women's Championship Tournament. Jamie Hayter versus Anna Jay. This was decent. We had back inside the arena, and out comes Jamie Hayter, accompanied by AEW Women's Champion Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Reba. They settle into the ring for Jamie Hayter's scheduled first round match in an ongoing TBS Women's Championship Tournament. Out comes her opponent for this opening round match, it says out comes her opponent for this opening round match, and the attorney Anna Jay. She settles into the ring as well, and her music fades down. The bell sounds. We are off and running with this first round bout in the TBS Women's Title Tournament. The winner of this match will advance to the next round to face Thunder Rosa, who receives a first round bye in the tourney due to their being one of their top 5 ranked women's contenders. Early on, we see Jamie Hayter doing well and dominating the action. However, Anna Jay eventually shifts the momentum in her favor. The action spills out to the floor, and when it gets back into the square circle again, we see Jamie Hayter taking back over control of the offense. On that note, we head to a minute-match commercial break as the match continues. We're back from the break, and we see some more back and forth action until some interference from Britt Baker and Reba will lead to Jamie Hayter connected with a big lemon. She then scores the pinfall and the victory to advance to face Thunder Rosa. And then next round of the tournament, after the match, the Heels trio beat Anna Jay down some more until Tay Conti and eventually Thunder Rosa heads down to even the odds and run them off. The winner of the match and advancing in the TBS Women's Title Tournament, Jamie Hayter. So we get Jay Cargill doesn't care who is next. We shoot backstage with Jay Cargill and Mark Arshon, and they bring up that they will find out Jay Cargill's opponent after the next TBS Women's Championship Tournament about involving Red Velvet and the Bunny. Cargill says she doesn't care because it doesn't matter. She's going to beat whoever it is and win the entire tournament. She will then rename the TBS title That You Know What Show. So we get MJF and Darby Allin. Darby Allin brawl through Cable Arena. Now we head back inside the arena where we hear the familiar sound of MJF theme. Then the Pinnacle leader makes his way down to the ring in a suit holding a microphone. We see shots of Darby Allin watching on from the Raptors, and he begins speaking. MJF questions why fans boo him and cheer Darby Allin. He then goes on to talk about how Darby Allin is mentally weak, just like all of the fans, and vows that he will beat him when they meet in the ring at AEW Full Gear. He says this is going to happen because he's better than him and he knows it. He says there's one more thing, which prompts loud boos from the fans. He tells them to shut up and then says on the small chance Darby doesn't change him and fight him like an animal. He attacks him with his skateboard. He's still better wrestler than him. Fredman said, MJF says it's easy to overlook that because he thought history time someone is as a fraction as good as he is on the mic. He generally aren't that exceptional in the ring. He says he is in that the difference. He then brags that he could beat Darby Allin with something as simple as a headlock takeover. Darby Allin jumps on the mic and vows he won't attack MJF with a skateboard at full gear. He promised he will beat him in a wrestling match. He says that will happen because he's going to take his anger out on him right now. He begins walking through the crowd. He begins walking through the crowd down to the ring. As Darby Allin makes his way closer to the ring, we hear MJF on the mic and act like he wants to fight him as well, but ultimately he says never mind. He walks off. As he tries to leave, out comes Sting, stopping MJF on his tracks. A brawl breaks out with Sting and members of the Pinnacle on the ramp. The battle. It says they battle to the back, and then we see MJF realize Darby Allin is right behind him as no choice but to fight. With that said, the brawl is on. The two go at it, duking it out in front of all of the fans in the crowd. Darby Allin ends up getting the better of MJF, and he's leaving him laying against the barricade. And then he backs up. He backs way up into the crowd. He gets a long running start and then blasts MJF with the enormous lariat that sends him back over the guardrail. He brings him into the ring and heads up to the top like looking for his coffin drop. However, MJF escapes under the bottom rope and runs through the crowd. MJF looks back and sees Darby Allin staring him down from the ring. Darby Allin theme plays again while the commentators plug MJF versus Darby Allin at the upcoming AEW Full Gear pay-per-view before sending us into another commercial break. So we get Andrade El Idolo versus Cody Rhodes. Alright, this was pretty good, even though this was long. But anyway, it says, where is that? It says, here we go. It says, Andrade hits the ring and posts to the crowd as the commentators reminds us that Malachi Black is banned from ringside during this match this evening. We now hear the thing for Andrade wrap up. The lights is in the building go out, and then a Titantron video for Cody Rhodes being playing as his pure theme tunes full in arena. Finally, he races through the floor and fireworks explodes as his theme hits. The American Nightmare soaks in the atmosphere, looking around at the crowd as the Dabber Yabber Justin Roberts handles the formal pre-match ring introduction for the wrestling veteran as he makes his way to the ring, accompanied by Arn Anderson. We hear the fans giving Cody a mixed bag reaction, which thus far sounds more positive than negative, and certainly more positive than the reactions he has been receiving from other crowds and the different sites in recent weeks on AEW TV. The bell sounds and we off a running with his feature about Cody and Andrade go nose to nose and looks out at the crowd, almost like they're trying to see how the fans are going to react so they know how to lay out the match. Andrade gets in a shot on Cody, but Cody fires right back. Cody backs Andrade into the corner and blasts away with punches as the crowd starts to boo louder. They have thirst far at Cody for doing well. Cody and Andrade stop and stare each other down on the ring apron outside the ropes before regaining inside the ring. Andrade heads up to the top rope after getting some shots getting in some shots on Cody. He comes flying off the top, but Cody catches him coming down with a well-timed drop kick. The commentators brings up the mean streak Cody is showing. Pre the recent request of R. Anderson and notes that R. Anderson seems pleased with Cody's performance thus far in the match. With that said, Andrade ends up decking Cody and knocking him out on the floor. On that note, the commentators talks us up into a mid-match picture-in-picture commercial break as the action continues. When we return from the break, we see Cody fighting back in the competitive form in the ring. Cody rolls a big body slam on Andrade and then turns the play to the crowd, which gives him another mixed bag reaction, leaning more towards the negative. Cody picks Andrade up and designs on finishing him off. However, Andrade blocks Cody Rhodes with an enormous shot that nearly earns him a knockout win, as JR points out on commentary. Andrade backs Cody into the corner and beats him down, and then stumps a moho in him as he's seated on the mat in the corner. He stomps his foot and plays to the crowd as he stalks Cody. He charged across the ring with violent intentions. However, Cody pops up and turns Andrade inside out with a lariat. Then fans boo like crazy. We see Cody looking for his crossroads finishing out. However, Andrade avoids it and counters. He ends up hitting the Three Amigos suplex spot as the finish, and Eddie into the Eddie Late Guerrero. Andrade slams Cody into the turnbuckle and with the third and final suplex in his Three Amigos sequence. He hits a running knee and goes for the cover, but Cody kicks out to keep this match alive. After some more back and forth action from those two, Andrade grounds Cody and grabs his leg. He wraps around it and drops down into a figure 4 leg lock. Cody yells in pain, but he holds his arm up strong. When the ref checks it and begins turning Andrade over. He does, and now the move is inflicting pain to Andrade. So he crawls to the bottom rope and gets the hold broken. He rolls out to the floor. Now we see Andrade assistant hops on the apron to provide a distraction. Cody sees this, but then R. Anderson handles the assistant from ringside. While that is going on, Cody goes to the run and a dive. Andrade on the floor on the other side of the ring. However, he dives right into a shot from the AAA Tag Team titles belt held by LTR, who was waiting for him. They roll under the ring afterwards, and then Andrade hits his finisher on Cody back in the ring for the pinfall victory. The winner of the match, Andrade El Idolo. After the match, the fight continues. After the match, the fight continues and spreads. Alright, once the match wraps up, FTR rolls back out from under the ring. They join Andrade in the ring along with Tully Blanchard to celebrate his win over Cody. FTR ends up holding Cody while Andrade loads up for a big running knee. Instead, R. Anderson hits the ring. FTR and Andrade backs off as Tully and R circle each other. They take their coats off and look like they're ready to go at it. Out comes the Lucha Bros to help even up the numbers game. This leads to Penta El Zero, Miro, and Ray Phoenix hitting some crazy hot spots from the ring to the floor to clear the scene of the heels. Their theme music plays as we head to another commercial break. Tony Schiavone talks to John Silver about upcoming Adam Cole match. Alright, we return from the break. Tony Schiavone is in the ring with John Silver. He introduces the Dark Order member and then mentions the one-on-one match between John Silver and Adam Cole this Friday night's Friday night's edition of AEW Rampage. John Silver marks Adam Cole a big, calling him Buditch. He then says Adam Cole won't take his advice after referring that the rumors that WWE wanted to use Adam Cole in a manager role on the main roster. He vows to teach Adam Cole a lesson on Rampage later this week. So we get the main event of the evening: AEW Championship Eliminator Tournament. Orange Cassidy versus Miro. Alright, this match was alright for what it was. It is now time for the main event of the evening. As out comes the freshly squeezed one himself, along with some of his best friends. The best friends, guys and gals, wishes Orange Cassidy well, then heads backstage as he makes his way down to the ring. Orange Cassidy settles into the ring and gets a nice ovation from the fans and audience tonight. He then awaits his replacement opponent, Miro, who took the match on a short notice after Cassidy's originally scheduled opponent, John Moxley, was pulled due to entering himself in the inpatient alcohol treatment program. Miro theme hits, and out comes the former TNT champion, looking ready to go to war for a shot at the AEW World Championship if he can get past Orange Cassidy to advance in the tournament. Bryan Danielson's theme then hits, and he makes his way to join the gang on special guest commentary for this match, as he will square off against the winner of this bout in the next round of the tournament. We also see Matt Hardy watching on as the match is about to get underway. The bell sounds, and we are off and running with our final match of the evening here on AEW Dynamite. Early we see the usual comedy stuff from Orange Cassidy with the sunglasses and hands in his pocket, as well as avoiding the fight as he avoids Miro and heads inside the ring before anything happens. We see Miro go out after him and being laying a savage beatdown on him to start off in the early offense leading this tournament bout. On that note, we head to our final commercial break of the evening as the match continues in the ring with Miro beating down Cassidy. As we settle back in from the break, we see Miro is still very much control of the match, as he is literally in the middle of stomping out of Cassidy on the mat in the corner of the ring. The commentators inform us that the same was happening through the commercial break, as Cassidy has yet to mount the offense of any kind in this bout thus far. With that said, however, Cassidy starts to fire up for a big comeback. He starts taking it to Miro, and he jumps into the offense lead. He starts picking up the speed and intensity as he looks to get Miro close to finish off. Miro ducks out the back door to take a breather on the floor at ringside. However, Cassidy climbs to the top rope and flies off, splashing onto Miro and putting him through the timekeeper's table. The referee nearly counts Miro out as the count reaches all the way to 9 and charges before God's favorite champion makes it back into the ring just in time. Once he does, however, Cassidy continues to stay fired up. He hits his beach break semi finisher and goes for the cover, but Miro kicks out. He goes for the orange punch after that, but Miro avoids it and decks the freshly squeezed one with a big kick. He then slaps his submission finisher on Cassidy and drops to the back where he immediately gets the tap. The winner and advancing into the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament, Miro. After the match, Bryan Danielson ready for Miro in the next round of the tournament. Miro wins and moves on in the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament to face Bryan Danielson, who leaves his spot on guest commentary and heads down to the ring. The American Dragon gets in Miro's face and Miro's theme cuts off. Miro and Bryan Danielson go face to face as the commentators hype their showdown in the next round of the ongoing title eliminator tournament. Bryan Danielson extends his hand to shake Miro's hand, but Miro refuses and backs off as this week's show goes off the air. And on that note, thanks for joining us. All I gotta say is AEW Dynamite was a fun show to watch. But anyway, if you guys enjoy my AEW Dynamite review and highlights, please subscribe to my channel. Drop a like on this video. Subscribe to my channel. Follow my social media, my Twitter, my Instagram, and TikTok, and my Twitter, my Instagram, and TikTok, and Twitch down below in the description. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys later. And I'm out of here.